It's one of history's biggest ever trading scandals, losses of nearly $7 billion. And Jerome Kerviel is the rogue trader taking the flak.
Alone in a quiet office. No weapons, no accomplices, no getaway plan. Yet he causes a financial explosion worth 4.9 billion euros, crippling one of France's biggest banks. This isn't fiction. This is the true story of Jérôme Kerviel, a low-level trader who nearly brought down Société Générale and almost collapsed the French banking system. In the next few minutes, I'll take you inside one of the most shocking financial scandals in history. And by the end, you'll be asking yourself, was Kerviel a criminal or just the perfect scapegoat? In the high towers of modern banking, where billions move at the speed of thought and ambition can become recklessness in seconds, few names echo with the same combination of awe, confusion, and controversy as Jerome Kerviel. His story is one that stunned global markets and reshaped the perception of control in international finance, challenging not only the systems in place, but also the very foundations of trust in the financial world. Jerome Kerviel didn't come from money. He wasn't groomed for leadership at elite institutions. He didn't wear designer suits or flash his status. He didn't even come from a family with a significant reputation. But in just a few short years, he became a financial legend, a rogue trader who managed to gamble with more money than most nations' economies, all from a quiet desk in Paris. And when it all collapsed, the fallout would become one of the biggest banking scandals in history, with ripple effects felt across global markets. A quiet start in a quiet town. Kerviel was born on January 11, 1977, in Pont-l'Abbé, a sleepy commune in the Brittany region of northwestern France. His upbringing was simple, and there was nothing particularly remarkable about his early life. His father worked as a blacksmith turned town councilor, and his mother ran a local hair salon. They were a typical, respectable, and hardworking family, nothing out of the ordinary. Yet from the outset, there were no signs that their son would one day become the face of one of Europe's biggest financial scandals. Jerome pursued his higher education not in the prestigious cities of Paris or London, but at local institutions in France. He earned his bachelor's degree in finance and followed it with a master's degree in the organization and control of financial markets from Lumiere University Lyon II. In 2000, Kerviel joined Société Générale, one of France's largest banks. He wasn't brought in through a fast-track program or handpicked by senior executives. He entered through the back door, beginning in the bank's compliance department. It was in this seemingly mundane role that he became intimately familiar with the bank's internal processes, how trades were monitored, logged, and approved. Little did anyone know that the knowledge he gained during his time in compliance would later become the key to his unprecedented deception. The trader behind the curtain. By 2005, Kerviel was promoted to the Delta One desk, a relatively quiet and low-profile position within the bank. The desk specialized in equities arbitrage, essentially a low-risk activity that involved minimal market exposure through futures and indexes. It wasn't a position that would draw attention, nor was it where Kerviel would make his name known in the traditional sense. However, Kerviel wanted more. He craved recognition and respect, the kind of accolades that came with taking risks and being rewarded for it. As he watched senior traders around him rake in bonuses and earn the adoration of their superiors for their daring moves, he began to feel the sting of invisibility. He was determined to prove his worth, not to enrich himself, but to show that he could accomplish more than the traditional bankers around him. What he couldn't attain through conventional means, he decided to seek through unauthorized risk. By the end of 2007, Kerviel's real trading positions had ballooned beyond comprehension. At one point, his unauthorized trades had amassed a staggering 49.9 billion, more than the entire worth of Société Générale itself. The scale of his exposure was so vast that a single misstep, a small shift in the market, could bring the entire bank to its knees. And yet, for months, no one knew. His trading was operating in the shadows, a dangerous game being played behind the curtain. The perfect storm. By early 2008, the global financial world was already on edge. Markets were volatile, and the US subprime mortgage crisis was beginning to ripple across the globe, causing instability and uncertainty. The pressure on financial institutions was immense, and Société Générale was no exception. As the year progressed, someone within the bank noticed irregularities in Kerviel's trades. A deep internal investigation quickly revealed the full extent of the problem, or at least part of it. It was one of the largest losses ever suffered by a single trader in the history of finance. The shockwaves reverberated throughout the financial community, with pundits and analysts alike struggling to comprehend how such a disaster could have occurred. On January 24, 2008, Société Générale went public with the news. The world watched in disbelief as the details of Kerviel's actions were revealed. A relatively unknown junior trader had managed to rock the global financial system to its core, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. The media immediately seized upon the story, casting Kerviel as the villain, the rogue trader who had brought a respected bank to its knees. The main media frenzy and public spectacle. The media's treatment of Kerviel was both intense and unforgiving. In the wake of the scandal, he was portrayed as everything from a criminal mastermind to a tragic figure caught in the web of an out-of-control banking culture. Kerviel was interrogated for over 48 hours, during which he was questioned relentlessly about his actions. As the trial proceeded, public opinion was divided. Some viewed Kerviel as a scapegoat, a man who was being punished for the failures of the bank's risk management system. Others saw him as a financial terrorist, someone who had put the global economy at risk for his own personal sense of accomplishment. In the end, the truth lay somewhere in between. Kerviel was responsible for his actions, but the system that allowed him to operate unchecked was equally to blame. The system that let it happen. Kerviel's defense during the trial centered on a chilling claim that Société Générale knew, or at the very least suspected, what he was doing, but chose to look the other way while the profits were rolling in. When Kerviel's trades were successful, the bank reaped the rewards. His managers praised his performance, encouraged his growth, and celebrated the risk he was taking. But when the tide turned and his trades began to implode, the same managers who had once lauded his success were quick to distance themselves from him. In 2010, after a high-profile trial, Kerviel was found guilty of breach of trust, forgery, and unauthorized computer use. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, 2 of which were suspended, and ordered to repay the full $4.9 billion in damages. The case sparked a fierce international debate. Some questioned the fairness of the trial, arguing that Kerviel was being scapegoated for the failure of an entire system. Others saw it as an example of the banking industry's tendency to place blame on individuals rather than addressing the broader systemic issues that led to the disaster. Life behind bars and beyond. Jerome Kerviel served just under 5 months of his prison sentence before being released on the condition that he wear an electronic bracelet and comply with strict supervision rules. But his life would never return to normal. He was financially ruined, legally restrained, and his reputation was forever tarnished. Kerviel's name became synonymous with risk, recklessness, and the collapse of a major institution. He became the subject of academic studies, a cautionary tale in risk management seminars, and the focal point of books and documentaries. Yet, despite the infamy, Kerviel refused to disappear. In the years that followed, he began a journey of self-reflection, writing books, giving interviews, and even walking from Rome to Paris as a form of symbolic penance. Along the way, he met with Pope Francis, who encouraged him to continue his pilgrimage of self-discovery and reflection. The man who had once been hidden behind blinking monitors and financial reports was now walking in the open, searching for redemption in a world that had once devoured him. His journey became a symbol of the struggle for personal reconciliation, as well as the broader struggle for accountability in the world of finance. The larger questions. The story of Jerome Kerviel is not just about one man's ambition. It is about a global system that rewards risk and punishes failure, not evenly, but brutally. The financial world is a place where profits are celebrated and losses are punished. In the wake of Kerviel's actions, the world began to ask difficult questions about the nature of risk, the culture of banks, and the blind pursuit of wealth. The banking industry is built on trust, the trust of clients, investors, and the public that banks will manage money responsibly and with integrity. Kerviel's saga shattered that trust, exposing the vulnerabilities and weaknesses that lie beneath the polished surface of global finance. How could one man manipulate billions without anyone noticing? How could a single rogue trader cause such monumental damage? The answer was stark. Because the system was built to reward success at all costs, and in the rush to profit, no one had been paying attention to the risks, legacy, and impact on global finance. The Kerviel affair forced significant changes in global banking practices. Société Générale overhauled its risk management systems, and regulators across Europe tightened their surveillance of trading desks. Banks worldwide installed more stringent internal checks, hoping to prevent another rogue trader from slipping through the cracks. But the philosophical question remains: is it even possible to eliminate human risk in a system that thrives on speed, complexity, and constant innovation? Kerviel wasn't a hacker or a master of deception. He simply exploited weaknesses that were already there, vulnerabilities that had been overlooked in the pursuit of ever greater profits. What he means today. Today, Jérôme Kerviel lives in relative obscurity compared to the peak of his infamy. He remains an enigmatic figure, a symbol of the contradictions inherent in modern finance. To some, he is still seen as a fraudster, while to others, he represents a tragic hero who was caught in the machinery of a corrupt system. His story is a strange mirror reflecting the pressures, the rewards, and the dangers of an industry that is driven by speed, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of wealth. Kerviel's tale is not just one of individual ambition gone wrong, but also a reflection of a deeper flaw in the financial system itself. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of blind risk-taking, the fragile nature of global institutions, and the dark side of wealth accumulation. His story lives on in books, documentaries, and academic papers, not because he was unique, but because what he did exposed a truth that needed to be seen and understood by the world. Final thoughts. A name. Carved into financial history, Jérôme Kerviel did not set out to destroy a bank or to change the course of history. He did not intend to become a symbol of the dangers of unchecked ambition. But in following the dark path of financial risk, he became exactly that. His story remains relevant today because the issues it exposed, greed, poor oversight, and the dangerous incentives of modern banking, are still present in the world of finance. Kerviel's legacy is one of caution and reflection. It is a reminder that in every financial system, there are cracks. And sometimes, it only takes one person to slip through them to bring the whole structure crumbling down. The story of Jérôme Kerviel is more than a scandal. It's a warning about power, pressure, and how a system will go to protect itself. But he's just one name in a long list of hidden figures who shook the world from behind the scenes. So now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments which character I should do next. A traitor? A dictator? A mastermind? You pick the name, and I'll bring the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and get ready, because the next episode might change how you see everything.